Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Buddhang dhammang sanghang namassami. This is the occasion that's conventionally marking the end of 2022. And I can't really remember the last time I marked the end of the year in Kuala Lumpur in Malaysia. Or in Malaysia, I think it was probably 69, 70, just before I left. This marking of the end of something and the calendar year, there are there's this New Year, there's Chinese New Year, there's Thai New Year, there's Buddhist New Year, there's Hebrew New Year, and there's probably others. And each have their own way of marking. And what I'm familiar with this New Year, I mean, is something that's been made up in the West, I think. Because in Thailand, there wouldn't have been very much in the way of anything over this New Year when I was in Thailand. It would have been Thai New Year, which would have been important, which was in May, and that's a time of paying respects to elders and asking for forgiveness and washing. And that's a beautiful thing to do and has its place. And here, I don't know whether this has been done before or whether this is a tradition that has grown up here in Malaysia at this Western New Year of chanting the Itipiso. Is it something that's been happened before at New Year here, or is this going to be the first time that it's done? It's been done before, so this is something that is part of this tradition, family tradition. And it's good to mark traditions and to have traditions. They give a connection and a thread for things. It's a convention, the idea of New Year, as is obvious when you see how many New Years there are in one year. Then you start to think, well, maybe every day is a New Year, or and then you start to see, well, what can I do in this one? Here, at this time, obviously, it's a bit of a party, so people will come and go, and I don't mind if people turn up late, or they're welcome, and we'll see how the evening goes. It's not something where we have to be restricted, because if you're going to come here on this Western New Year, then you might as well enjoy yourself, and also have a chance to reflect. And it's also for Westerners a time around this thing called Christmas, which is a celebration of something, and Christmas trees. And so what has developed in some of the monasteries, Western monasteries that I've been in over the years, is this reflection, opportunity to stop and notice. What is this life I am leading? Is it really in accordance with Dhamma? Is it really in accordance with truth? Is it, in your case, in the case if you're taking Itipiso as your theme, is it really a refuge in the Triple Gem? Is this what this past year has been about, and is this what this new year will be about? One way of forming some clarity around things maybe is to write them down. So what we have done, or what I have done in the past, is at different Western monasteries, is to write on paper the things that I would like to let go of from the previous year, and then the things that I would like to aspire to in the future year. So, as a way of clarifying that. And I thought this evening also to make a third thing, because we're dealing in threes and we're Buddhists. And so, the third thing, it's actually something that does happen a little bit in I think singular society. I know some bhikkhus who keep something that is it's a record of goodness, a record of blessings, and that usually with the record of things that I would like to forgive or let go of from the previous year. Like to forgive ourselves or forgive others for. We write them down a little bit, and then write on the other side the things that we'd like to aspire to. And then what we do, what we've done, what I've done in the past, is to take them somewhere outside and burn them. No, it's a bit like burning your funny money to pass on to your ancestors. So it's not something that you're unfamiliar with, the idea of burning something to let it go or to pass it on. But but to let go of the past and to also allow your aspirations to also be something that is left up to causes and conditions. You make your aspiration, you make your effort from that aspiration, you direct your aspiration, but then how things turn out, you don't know. So you have to let it go. But I think if you also, what some people, as I say, they keep is is a book of the people that they're grateful to, or grateful for, and a book of which also contains also the things that they feel that they've done that has been beautiful or helpful, so that then they can look back on it. When we reflect on the basis of the Buddhist teaching, is that it's causality. When the causes and conditions for something are there, the thing will be there, and when the causes and conditions for something are not there, the thing will not be there. And one of the things that shifts a bit is one of the causes that shifts a bit things is how conscious and how aware and how much attention is given to things. And I would encourage us to, we say we are heirs to our karma, born of our karma, related to our karma, abide supported by our karma. Whatever karma we do, for good or for ill, of that we will be the heir. That's one of the 5 reflections. Yes, the 5 reflections for everybody is, I am of the nature to age, I have not gone beyond aging. I am of the nature to sicken, I have not gone beyond sickness. I am of the nature to die, I have not gone beyond dying. These are basic reflections. And all that is mine, beloved and pleasing, will become separated from me. This is a good reflection, because all the things that one identifies with will become separated from one. It's a really good and wise reflection. And then the 5th one is, I am the owner of my karma, heir to my karma, born of my karma, related to my karma, abide supported by my karma. Whatever karma I shall do, for good or for ill, of that I will be the heir. And people often take that as a worry about all their bad karma that they might have had, and recognize and thinking, well, I'm the heir to all my bad karma. And what they forget sometimes is, I'm also the heir to my good karma. So do take care to remember your good karma, because otherwise it won't support you. It will eventually, it will come, but if you give attention and care to that and remember it, remember the blessings of your life, the blessings that have allowed you to be alive, that you have received from whoever has taken care of you as a child, whoever has supported you in wisdom, whoever supported you in generosity, who's ever supported your virtue and encouraged you in any way, however you've been blessed. Remember your blessings, and remember the blessings that you've given to others, so that they're not something that is just nothing. It's not. It's something that has helped people and helped yourself. So at the end of the year, to maybe write it down, and don't burn that bit of paper. Yeah, don't burn that bit of paper. So you can review it when you feel a bit sad and sorry for yourself. So as a way of reflecting on karma. So remember your good karma and remember the blessings you have received. Not in a sense of I'm a great person, but just in a way of like allowing mudita and appreciation into your heart. You probably remember Chief Reverend at the temple here, yeah, and Chief Reverend Dhammananda, and I remember going to see him in I think it was '98. This was the first time I'd come back to Kuala Lumpur since '70. So, and I went to see Chief Reverend because in those days it was something that you would do, and I was enough fastas that he was able to talk with me, and he's always a very approachable person, and in the sense that he was able to reflect on his life at that time. It's 98, 99, I think it was. And he'd come to Kuala Lumpur, I think, in 1953, which is when I was born. And then he'd been through various things. So by that time, but he was a little bit, I think rightly, proud of what he'd done. He thought, I've figured something out here at this Vihara. I've worked out how to be a blessing in this strange place that I found myself in. And he was like, I'm okay, I'm happy with this. And it was like he was resting on recognizing his good karma. And that was it's not like he was puffed up and proud about it. It was just like, I've done okay. And I think that that's not a bad thing to remember. I know another Sri Lankan monk, and he gave one of his kidneys to somebody years ago now. So he functions on one kidney, which, as you probably know, is quite okay for most people. But it's something that he remembers, and it supports him when he feels a little bit down. He's also a very good monk, but that sense of, I've given something of value to society or to people or to something that has supported them. So do remember, and if you think, well, I've done nothing good, I can't remember anything, remember the beings that have supported you, and offer that gratitude that you have for them. Whoever has supported you in your life, that has allowed you to grow in wisdom, allowed you to grow in virtue, has allowed you to grow in generosity. Remember them at the end of a year and write it down, and then think, it's okay not to forget. And because this is karma, and this is causes and conditions, and it reconnects you with the wholesomeness of your life. For the forgiveness part of it, for the things that you want to forgive and let go of, this is something that you can consider. That, as some of you know, my mother died back in October, so not so long ago. And she was born in Singapore, and obviously she was in Kuala Lumpur when I was born. And there was all sorts of things about her life that maybe she wasn't really sure about, and things like that. And she really wanted to do the best she possibly could for her family and things, and for her husband and everything. But for part of after my father died in 2008, there were bits that she was still worried about and concerned about, but I saw her a few weeks before she died, and I knew that this was going to be something that was going to be possibly the last time I saw her. She was 95 and not very well. And but I asked her, have you forgiven everybody? And she said, yes. And the sense of forgiveness is a sense of, I don't want to carry anything more. I don't want to, it's a sense of putting down a burden. It's nothing, it's different from reconciliation. Yeah? It's different from reconciliation. Reconciliation requires a rekindling of trust, which can take time and may not happen. If you've been injured or you've been hurt by something, it's different. Forgiveness is different from reconciliation. Okay? So I'm not, but she's saying, I'm not going to carry this anymore. So it's a sense of forgiveness. Let this go. And so she said she's forgiven everybody. And then I said, do you feel forgiven? And she said, yes, yes. So that was good. And so a sense of putting something down. And then I asked her, have you forgiven yourself? And she said yes. So I felt that it's like there was nothing really more for her to carry around. All her sense of worry about whether she treated her children right or whether this was right or this sort of thing. She'd let that go. And that's something that, if you're practicing at the end of a year, if you can practice that at the end of each year, that sense of forgiveness, so that you're not carrying anything into the new year, that you have to lug around as I can't forgive this person, can't forgive myself for doing that, Just don't take that luggage with you, it's too heavy. Yeah? And so that sense of, if you write down all the hurts and the troubles and the sense of disappointment that you've had with people, or the sense that you feel you've been disappointed by, just forgive. Because it's not worth it. That stuff's not worth carrying. Yes? So, and a way of making that conscious and then burning it is great. So that's what I would suggest with that. So forgiveness in whatever way you want. And then it gives a clearer sort of thing for, well, what would I like to aspire towards for next year? Now, aspiration is something that sometimes the Buddhists might feel is a bad thing because, we all know that the cause of suffering is desire. And so we shouldn't desire anything. I desire not to desire anything. and it's deeply confusing because of the way that language is used and the way that these words take on an emotional side to them. And this is a desire body. This is a desire creature. Don't tell me that animals don't have desires. They do. And this is an animal to this thing. And so it's not going to not work on desire. We don't have to complicate desire by... and the desire... it takes many forms. There's and there's the desire of just not wanting things to be the way that they are. I don't want this to happen. And there's that desire. Or there's the desire of being, wanting to get away from things. And then there's a desire that is of I want to be with something that I liked before. separation from the loved. And there's the desire of just the next thing, and then there's the desire of just attaching to views and opinions about body, form, body, feeling, perception, conceptions and consciousness, the desire that compels the next identification of this is for me, this is mine, this is myself. And all of that is the compulsion, or that is the cause of further suffering. And humans can certainly do that. They can certainly complicate the natural business of desire of the animal. And so then we get the idea that I shouldn't desire anything. And then that's another desire. And then there's a confusion because, well, what should I do? And this is where I use the word aspiration, which is a way of using one of the Pali words, chanda. It's different from tanha. Tanha is thirst. That's the tanha, is the cause of suffering. And that's the in the second noble truth, and that is what is to be abandoned. That's the compulsion that's based on ignorance and lack of clarity. Don't know why it's happening, but there's a sense of compulsion. Whereas chanda is, when I translate it as aspiration, it comes from a sense of, I can do this. It comes from a sense of contentment, and yet recognition of difficulty. It's a recognition that there's going to need effort to succeed in what one does. One needs to put some effort into it, and one needs to remember what the goal is, what one wants, where one wants to go, and one has to work out how to get there. This is what's called the roads to success, and these are, and in one's meditation and in one's life, to recognize that there are what will support success in what one does are these four aspects: chanda, virya, citta, vimamsa, and these are the things that. The sense of, I can do this, so there's a sense of recognition of where one is, content with where one is, and a sense of, okay, I can do this, and then you have to put the effort in to do it, and then you have to remember what you want to do, and then you have to work out how to achieve it. So, and then you recognize in that there's going to be difficulties, and maybe you won't get there, but at least you have an aspiration. I have an aspiration to train using the 5 precepts this year. I have an aspiration to meditate regularly this year. You're not basing your happiness and saying, I have to do this in order to make me happy. You're happy that you can do this and you can make the effort. Do you see that there's a difference between wanting to do something to make yourself happy and being happy in your doing it, because in doing it there is happiness? Yes? And then the human possibility of being a happiness creator, which is what humans are designed to do. When they work well, humans are happiness creators. That's their function. It's what it says on the manual. When you use it, when you use a human life well, a human life is a happiness creator. And, it's the highest happiness is also possible, a happiness independent of conditions, which is, there's a happiness that's not dependent upon conditions. Regardless of results, there's still happiness. Regardless of conditions, there's still happiness. Then happiness is something that is given rather than demanded. And in Chanda, there's the sense of, I can do this, I can be happy in my making the effort to do this, and I can remember that this is what I wish to do, and I can work out how to get there. So this is the happiness creation that humans can work with. So remote and setting the direction with Chanda is this is aspiration, and then if it works out, it works out. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. There are all sorts of causes and conditions, but at least the aspiration is set right, and there's happiness in being able to make that aspiration. There's happiness in being able to make the effort. There's happiness in the sense of remembering what one wishes to do, and then working out how to get there. And so, as a way of doing that, I would suggest that you write down a few aspirations for next year. Don't call it New Year's resolutions, because those are terrible. Mara loves a good resolution. Because I adhitan, I'm determined to do this. You're setting yourself up for failure. Yeah, it's a tight thing to start with, and it's already suffering. And then, whereas an aspiration is much gentler on the heart, and it's like it's something that you can give to, because you've got enough. You're not making your happiness dependent upon results, but you're happy in the work. Yeah. That's what I would encourage you to do with your aspirations today.